No edits. You don't get any edits. Mark.
Paul.
Mark.
How's it going?
I've been begging for this day.
Yes,
How
you
long
have.
have I been pushing to do one of these archives things?
At least 5 minutes. It's
Oh,
been
that
months.
was good.
It's been months.
That was good. That was good. That's good. Let's grab one.
All right. How about this one?
I think this was pre-planned. Which one you grabbed?
No, we don't plan things. Are you kidding?
Is this what I think it is?
Yes.
The Sorcerer's Apprentice. So what year was this made?
I believe it was 81 or 82.
That's about right. Back
and it
when
was
I had
made.
hair.
That was in the Garrett shop above Ramshead. Is that where that would have been?
Yeah, there was at 33 West Street up on the 3rd floor, there was a Garrett shop, but there was also a small shop at Poplar Avenue where the milling machine was, where I cut the stuff out. You know, I had been trained to be a machinist by Eric Pritchard, and so a lot of the parts, not just were guitar making, but machining, you know, the bridges, the pickup parts, and
Right.
the fret wire and pile of the other stuff. So there was this Mickey Mouse movie called The Sorcerer's Apprentice, but it came with a record, and there was all this great music on it, like, you know, the symphony music, and I, as a kid, I thought that was great. I thought it was a good name for the guitar. Now I wouldn't name it for nothing. But basically, it's a 27 fret, make humbuckings out of P90's guitar, right?
Right. What was the idea with 27 frets?
It's the high notes that gets them, is what the English guitar player used to say. I don't know. I thought it was cool. I didn't want to move the bass pickup into a slightly more middle pickup position and not have a big gap.
Yeah.
The thing that was cool was this angle here. Do you see this angle?
Right.
So what I did was
I
had a sander and I tilted the body up like this and sanded it at an angle, which I thought that was really cool. That part I enjoyed.
Was there a reason for it, or was it just decorative?
No, I wanted to be
for
able to get
more
one of the
reach?
high frets.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you added the frets because you wanted the pickup in a more bass position,
In a more
then
mid-rangey
you just filled
position,
in the space.
yeah.
Okay, it wasn't to extend the range.
No, it was that too. I thought, well, nobody'd ever done more frets, you know. Actually, you know who would really dig this would be slide players, because they'd know where they were, a whole minor third above E, right?
Ole Roth might like it, except for it doesn't quite have enough frets for him. He plays 30 fret guitars.
I didn't know that. I know there's a lot of frets on the guitar, but I was thinking more, you know, Bosco France or Derek Trucks or somebody.
Those guys would know what to do with it.
But these covers were made on a milling machine out of big, thick blocks of acrylic, and then in order to make them black, I spray painted them on the inside. And this was that 2 sets of 3 bridge that I always thought we should have made.
Yeah.
I don't know why we didn't.
Did this have an influence on our current
2 sets
adjustable
of
bridge?
Yeah. I put these in a solid position and then had it adjustable on the outside.
Yeah, but these you can adjust, and then you tighten them to lock them down.
Yeah, tighten them to lock them down, which is now not exactly how we think of what the right physics things are to do. But the other cool thing is that this thing fits so well on the studs that they would lock just because they were on. It had a real tension to it when it was on. This is the birds are curly abalone. You see that?
Wow, that's stunning.
They're really pretty. I don't know. Look, at the time I wanted it neck all the way to the nut,
Right.
which we still do. But I also wanted it neck all the way to the heel. And because
That's why it's such a dramatic curve in there.
Yeah, I figured, you know, it should be the same neck. A lot of times guitars, the neck gets bigger from the 2nd fret back, or they'll get bigger from the, 15th fret up. And I always wanted it to just be even, you know. If you feel it, there's an expansion of the neck in this direction, but there's also a very, very light expansion of it getting thicker.
Yep.
That part I had right.
Yeah,
Here's another thing you would see if you can get a close-up on it. You see that's a stain of the blue on the wood, not a spray?
Right, it's like our royal blue color.
Yeah, but you can see when I filled it with epoxy, there were times when I had sanded through. Can you see it?
Mm-hmm.
So this was the original headstock shape that I drew at Eric Pritchard's house. Told him what to do on the drafting board. This was the original, wide fet neck. This was, the original hand-cut inlays that we decided we couldn't do those feathers because they would have broken in production.
Right.
Had a rotary switch on it, all these different tones you could get. That was the beginning of that. It was a lot of beginnings here.
Right.
Beginning of the body shape, but this was what we call the Santana shape, but it got more elongated here and a little bit wider and more angled here, but this was always symmetrical in the back.
Right.
The guitars were a little flatter in the back when we finally finished. But there's a lot of beginnings here, so I thought it was the guitar maker's apprentice. I was the apprentice.
Gotcha.
So
do you remember how this works? Like what's going on here? 'Cause it's kind of interesting.
It was a
six-way.
It was a switch that you could wire any way you wanted. You could get this one single coil. I'm pretty sure you get one of these single coil. You get combinations of the humbucking and this single coil and the humbucking. Let's see, 1, 2,
And there was a
3,
series in
4,
parallel.
5. There's a 6-position switch here. So
I think you can get these in series and parallel as well.
Probably.
And so these are, you made these, but but it's P90
I
style.
took P90s and then I sanded them down and made them smaller and rewound them.
Okay. So it's 3 P90s and this one's wired as
But
a
the
humbucker.
bobbins are smaller than regular
gotcha.
P90s.
Cool.
I thought it had real merit. I mean, in a way, was it 409, 408? What was that big pickup that we did?
The 408, yeah.
408.
So this
So
is the predecessor to that.
Yeah, right. And I started to want to get this many turns on a humbucking, and so I would literally cut the bobbins apart and glue the thicker part on one side and the thicker part on the other so I could get it a little bit deeper, get more turns. So this was the beginning of me putting more turns on some of these humbucking pickups. So our bobbins are a 32nd inch deeper so that you can get more turns if you want to.
Yeah.
But the whole company is going back to lesser and lesser turns. As we get the guitars to sound more and more clear and big and sustainy, don't need as many turns on the pickups.
I have a question about the headstock angle. So we used to do this where the break on after the nut was a lot shallower.
Right.
Why did we stop doing that?
Well,
That was to
we
keep
stopped
things
doing
from
it.
pinching.
No, it was intended so that it would stay in tune, but also when you were using a tremolo, this would not be a hindrance to it staying in tune.
Okay.
We later changed the headstock angle to be more than that, but not anywhere near what history is. I mean, a lute literally comes straight back, which is not bad for tone because you've got so much tension on the place where the string starts to vibrate, but it won't stay in tune, not in our world.
Right.
I buried the bridge a little bit into the body so I could get the neck angle down. So look, the body comes up to the bridge. You see how the body comes up to the bridge. So this surface is not parallel to the back.
Sure.
Had I made it, this bridge would not have to be buried into the body.
Right.
I always thought it was a little odd to have the treble pickup be so high and the bass pickup be so low. So this was an effort to make them about the same.
Right.
By the way, this back plate is from a picture frame of clear plastic because I couldn't buy the plastic sheets, and then I would spray the back black. I was experimenting with using less screws at the time. And stuff.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's the beginning of sanding the back plate. See the sanding on the back plate?
Yeah, it looks nice.
Look, this is the one thing on the guitar that's never changed. That has never changed because, well, this is made of brass, we're made of aluminum now, but once we started making these out of metal, they didn't break when people walked out of their jack cord. You walk in like that, and the jack plate was plastic, it would break.
Right.
But these never broke. They were strong. We still use these number 4 screws, sheet metal screws too. So why did you want to go over this guitar, Marc, when we go into the archives?
I think it's a piece that people are really fascinated by. I mean, there really aren't a lot of guitars that go beyond 24 frets. And it's just a really rare piece for us because there were only ever a couple made.
That was a cool guitar.
Yeah, it's really neat.
So Mark, look what I just found.
What do you have?
The drawing of the guitar. So,
Wow, that's crazy.
So there is the original pickups, the original moon inlays,
Right.
the original headstock, the tuning pegs we made for a minute and started putting on the guitars, 2 sets of 3 bridge that was a tremolo version. You know, the angle up that we were talking about,
Right.
the really tall, thin fret wire that's on that guitar because we had taken big wire and milled each side off.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I put it up in a milling machine. I milled every single fret.
That's
so
crazy.
It was higher. But Eric helped me draw it, but that I remember telling him I wanted this to match this.
Right. Right, and the moons as well.
Right. So everything was about that. We ended up tilting the moons, right? They were straight in the very, very beginning. We tilted them at the same
To
angle
mimic,
as the
yeah.
headstock.
That's awesome.
But here's the tuning pegs we make now.
Now, was there something about this guitar that made you want to do the thinner fret wire? Or was it?
Yeah, because I wanted them to be really high but out of your way.
Yeah.
You know.
So it was something you were experimenting with
Yeah.
for all the guitars.
Yeah.
It just happened to be on this one.
But I had the ears of the headstock were very close to the nut. It was fine, except if you played a diminished chord in first position, you couldn't do it. So that's why I moved it. There was one chord you couldn't play on the guitar. It was, I think, a really well done drawing in terms of the shape of it, and in terms of, you know, showing this angled part without the scoop. So what's going to be the next guitar in the archives?
It's hard to say.
Did we do the first bird guitar?
I thought we did.
I thought we did the first
Then we're
bird. Then
doing
we
the
should
first
do the
bird?
first bird guitar.
We'll do
We
the
should
first
talk
bird
about what birds survived and which ones had to change and why.
I like it.
All right, good. All right, so you have to say goodbye now.
Oh, goodbye.
Goodbye now. See you. Bye. All right, good. Perfect.